Minnesota. We're not like, headquarters for census is in Raleigh, but we do have a regional manager based in Minnesota that covers the end distributor. And then as Bill and I have worked over the last couple of years, I'm here a couple times a month. All the time if you need something, I can get on plane anytime.
So we would probably look at having this gentleman come back for that meeting, you know, as residents have technical questions
Right.
per
We
se.
bring a regional manager, we can bring a director from census if you need that.
You're plenty fine. Just kidding. But, you know, like the mayor said, we would look, you know, this was to break the ice on this particular topic. Like I said, the Water and Sewer Commission, they've been involved with this more as they went out and did some site visits. We do have communities in the area like Rochester, Birmingham, Delta Township, Pittsfield Township, who are currently using the system, Eaton Rapids and others. So there are communities that are using this. They went and visited a couple of them. So this was more as an icebreaker because it is a big purchase and it is a big project for the city, but it's something that most definitely is needed based on the condition of our current system. And as we want to move forward, or we need to move forward into the future with that system and technology and those things.
And there could be several phases to this. I mean, not just with this purchase and potential billing software, but how does that, you know, there's always a domino effect. So BS&A can be used in the water department, it can be used in the treasurer's office, it can be used in the building department, and so assessor's office. I mean, it's assessing software. I mean, that's who basically wrote the software, a Michigan assessor, or the brother of a Michigan assessor. So there's a whole lot of additional phases that could come from this with some much needed advancement for the city of Taylor.
And this was something that actually when I was with the city about 2 years ago, we actually recognized it as an issue, started the ball rolling. That's why the Water and Sewer Commission were on it. And it was continued for the last couple of years until they got it to the point where they took it out to bid. And it just happens to be that the life cycle with the 7,000 meters being unreadable is just to that point where we'll need to make a decision.
Well, it sounds like you guys did a lot of groundwork, a lot of legwork. How do you rate this?
We looked at a lot of different aspects of it and what would serve the citizens of Taylor the best. The meters, we need to have them. It's where a lot of our farm income came from originally. And now that the system is starting to get old and fail, we need to address it. We did do some legwork and went to some different cities because we wanted to see, you know, who was the salesman, who was actually had a good product and stuff. And when we seen this system actually working in Birmingham, we actually got to talk to the city workers, the guys that worked in the garage. We walked back in the garage. We didn't want to hear from the salesman. Sure. We want to talk to the guys that are actually working in the garage and how, when they put the meters in, what did they gain. We targeted the larger commercial meters because they had a higher rate of not being accurate. And we have a lot of water loss here in Taylor that's unaccountable for. So that's why we went with this program this way.
What do you estimate our water loss is, percentage-wise?
I don't know percentage-wise.
Percentage-wise, I think it's reporting at about 14%, which is high.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it's hundreds of thousands, yes.
And guess what? The software can calculate that.
And
Tell me how much water you're getting in. We can calculate. We have a water loss.
I just want the shut-off one. So
Yeah, the shut-off points are coming. We'll get you one in the first one. But yeah, there's a water loss report in there.
Yeah, and that's one of the other things.
Tell me how much is coming in, how much you use it.
Just a component of this that this council will need to discuss, and I brought this to the mayor's attention. You know, we bill about $8 million a year on the water side, or water. This is just the water side. But we're actually, on an annual basis, we got into the practice of not really shutting anybody's water off and forcing them to pay their bills. So the community's been accustomed to being able to roll it on the taxes.
Right.
Well, we're rolling about $1.5 million in revenue on the taxes every year out of the $8 million. If they go bankrupt, we don't collect. They've even had instances where someone's went bankrupt, we've had to write off that amount, and they've started a new business, and that business has gone bankrupt. So we need to look at our billing practices to make sure that we're collecting our revenue. In fact, with the foreclosed homes and my understanding of the new laws, if we attach a water bill to a foreclosed home and someone buys it out of foreclosure, we have to then refund that money to them if it was paid prior to that. So we have a number of those people coming to us saying, we want to get the water revenue back from paying this. So we need, as that legislation changes and we have to make refunds, we need to tighten our ship so we're not losing the amount of revenue that we are. Just one example, what Romulus does is they give residents or any water customer $349. If you go over $349, they send you a letter and they say you have 7 days in which to pay to get it under $349. If you don't pay, they shut your water off until you pay. But in Taylor, we've never had a system where we forced that issue, but given our inability, our people who want to take advantage of that, and now the way that the legislation is going, where we might lose that revenue, we need to change the way we're doing business.
Well, understand, I don't know how in the world Romulus or Ivy Creek is, but I don't need, for whatever reason, obviously we all sit here and say, yeah, we have to do that, we have to tighten up the ship. Understand that makes sometimes for some very tense city council meetings, because when you shut somebody's water off and the check's in the mail or whatever happened, it's our fault or whatever the reason, those are not always fun meetings. But as Mr. Mackie indicated, we cannot continue doing what we did, and we're just losing too much revenue.
And I'll interrupt you, but the instance where I mentioned the $7,000 water bill, that's an actual instance. Now, we've paid for that $7,000 worth of water and sewer to Detroit Water and Sewer. So I'm not writing $7,000 off as a department head. I'm not writing $100 off unless it comes to the council and is approved. But that's an extreme situation where $7,000 is a lot, that's an exorbitant amount of money. We're not, in residential sides, we're not talking about that kind of money. But on commercial sides, we are. And some of those, our commercial customers are, and residential, you have issues with. Some outstanding businesses, they prolong the payment until you kind of force their cards. So it's just something we've had a pretty lax policy in the past, and it's just something that needs to be addressed, so we're not putting the city at risk. And this $1.5 million a year is continuous. It's been like that for a while. So if you think about, we get some of it, through taxes that are paid. I think out of that $1.5 million, we probably got about 500,000 of it. So we're still running $1 million. And if you take that by multiple years, it's a lot of money. Yeah, absolutely.
We could have bought this software.
Yeah, we
meter
could
system twice already.
paid for the system by our back.
And again, just so everybody's aware, those changes sometimes bring people and it's education. It's part of why we'll probably push the public forums and make sure that everybody understands, this whole system is the time to change it all and educate them so they understand, we're not going to continue doing what we did. Especially those people, because there are people out there that strategically do this. It's not an accident. They didn't fall on bad luck. It's part of the plan.
Yeah, and one of the things we'll catch also, there are meters out there, both commercial and residential, where those locations have bypasses, where they could actually steal water.
Oh, yeah.
And that is an ordinance fine as well. If we walk into a situation and we see that, we would probably take some sort of step to maybe ticket them, or I don't know what that would fall under.
Yeah, we'll have to look at it.
Would that
I
be a
don't know,
police
Steve,
matter or a?
In the past, what they've done is they've done like a lockout or removed the valves, and then worked with them as far as getting it straightened out and noting the vial, going back and rechecking. But with the downsized staff, that's been hard to pull off over the last few years, so we're behind on that to no fault of our own.
Okay.
But they're still currently out there because we've come across commercial recently with the freezes and residentials in both scenarios, which, you know, as we replace all these meters, we'll catch them all, and as the endpoints are there, we'll be able to see fluctuations that would indicate that there's some type of theft going on, like if something goes to, from, say, 200 or 100 units of water usage typically, and then all automatically stops, you know, for 1 day or 2 days, you know, that'll flag us, where we can then make an appointment to go out and say we're gonna change that meter sooner, if it's a residential meter. If it's commercial, we'll catch it in that first 6 months of switch out.
Well, awareness and presence helps a lot too. You send servicemen out, you let them know that you're watching it. People tighten their belts on their own. If they think you're not watching, they're
Well, back when I did work for the city,